Welcome back to Under Oath. Today we have actor, director, entrepreneur, and environmental activist, Ian Somerhalder. Ian, can you hear me?
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
What you do is ungodly important. You know,
Thank you.
A lot of people, I know a lot of entertainers, a lot of actors, they stick their toe in activism. And, you know, that's fantastic. But you're fully committed.
100%. I mean, listen, thank you. That's just such a kind thing to say. I left acting 6 years ago to launch these films, Kiss the Ground, Common Ground. Then we have a third film, Groundswell, we're in full-scale production on. Launch the films, raise my kids, and build my companies, the Absorption Company and Brothers Bond. Now, listen, would I do this the same way again? Absolutely not. I would never build $2 billion companies simultaneously while raising two kids and launching two films with a 110 flight a year schedule. I would physically never do that again because it is not easy. But dude, think about what we're getting to do. We are about to change the entire U.S. economy by shifting the way we farm. Our agricultural economy is about to be so robust to the tune of about $100 billion a year. This is major, man. While you've got billionaires out there talking about building carbon scrubbers and all this weird stuff, you're like, oh my gosh. In the great words of Gabe Brown, I have a novel idea. Let's grow a plant. And we can do it through just smart agriculture. How amazing is that, man? We are like, the future is actually bright. We've just bought into the fact that it's all doom and gloom, you know?
We ask people all the time, every business, everything, every brand has to ask themselves the question, why? That's really the big thing. And your kids, your family, everything else. I mean, the fear is that if we don't do something, what are we leaving them with?
You know, fear is a weird thing, right? Isn't it? It's amazing, right? The only thing to fear is fear itself. The concern is backed by a lot of science and a lot of data. We have when we launched Kiss the Ground in 2020, right? We had enough healthy topsoil globally for about 60 harvests. Now, while we have guys like Gates and Elon Musk and all these guys, wanting to build scrubbers and make us interplanetary beings. But the thing about it is, it's like, wait, we have the most beautiful place in the universe right here that we're degrading. We have 60 years of soil left, which means basically we have 60 years of food left. That's unacceptable, right? So now we're in that lower portion. We're in that like 55, maybe 57 years left of food on this planet. So what we're leaving our kids is a really bleak place, right? And why I say that is, if you think about water shortage, food shortage, look at what's already happening around the world. Food and water shortages cause big, big social unrest that cause big civil unrest, which causes wars. We don't need that. Josh has this unbelievable saying is, you can never build guns fast enough to outrun the desert. The world is desertifying, turning into desert because of land mismanagement. And what people don't realize is when you till soil, you destroy that soil and you release the one thing that we don't want to release, carbon. Isn't that wild? So, we see all those big tills out there and the tillage in the fields, and we see that black, beautiful dirt. Well, what that just happened was it just killed the microorganisms in that soil. And now, that soil has less ability to sequester carbon than it did. So when we build regenerative agricultural systems, not only do we jack our economy, we jack human health, and then healthcare costs come down. We balance our climate. We create more civil peace, less war, less shortage of everything. This is like the most amazing positive thing I've ever heard. So the future is actually bright. Like, get your sunglasses. We've just got a couple steps to get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I got to talk to the head of Bloomberg Technology, and I asked her the question I wanted here. I said, will technology save us? And a lot of people don't believe it is, but she goes, it absolutely will. 10, 20 years ago, you're sitting on these television shows. You're the hot item. Girls all around the planet are interested. And you're saying to yourself, I wonder if I'm going to affect the planet on the level I am right now. I mean, did that even cross your mind back then?
100%. I mean, listen, I did not even get a chance to go to college. I finished all my high school through correspondence. I was working. I don't even have a college degree. But what I realized was that I could utilize and leverage entertainment value to create quantifiable global change just by being a mouthpiece, by being an amplifier to the things that could help the planet. Now, it's not just some hoity-toity, high in the sky, you know, notion. We are about to build the world, and starting in the US, from the ground up as opposed to the top down. Technology is definitely going to help for sure. Technology is not going to save us. You know what's going to save us? The soil. Every major civilization that has perished because of mismanagement of land. Same thing is happening right now. We don't have the ability. We don't have the ability to continue on this path. We don't have the ability to continue on this path when we have a much better path, which is, hey, when people say, listen, Ian, what the hell is regenerative agriculture? Why should I care? What's it going to do? What's amazing is how simple it is. Regenerative agriculture is just the use of plant grazing methods, right? And using living, growing plants. Agriculture at scale to sequester enormous amounts of carbon dioxide. Actually, all the carbon dioxide that we emit, we can sequester, right? So you sequester enormous amounts of carbon dioxide, put it safely back in the ground where it belongs. Now, when you do that, you feed all those vital microorganisms in the soil. So healthier soil, healthier plant, healthier people, healthier planet, robust agricultural economies, better food systems, better water systems, better school systems. I mean, the positive cascade is massive, right? So this is what we're here talking about. Farmers are going to make more money. As we push out the agrochemical companies and the pharmaceutical companies, there's more money in the pot for normal, average people. Now, when we rebuild communities, we rebuild resilience. Resilience is everything. So it's pretty special, man, that we're sitting here on a Monday morning having a coffee, talking about the fact that we are about to unlock and build $100 billion a year carbon capture food economy right here in the United States, from the Carolina coast to the California coast. And with that, farmers are going to make a lot of money. They're going to pay more in taxes. The school districts are going to get better. The water districts are going to get better. After school programs are going to be implemented. This is really positive, right? This is what we're here talking about. And how exciting is it that this is what we have? We're no longer staring down the barrel of doom and gloom.
You walk away from acting, which is a huge portion of your life. I mean,
yeah.
And when is the moment you say to yourself, you know what? I've got a higher calling than this?
It's interesting you say that. I had a long and amazing relationship with Netflix. Kiss the Ground was on Netflix. Kiss the Ground touched 1 billion people. It's really special, right? I came off of Vampire Diaries and I produced a show called V-Wars. I produced, directed, starred in the whole thing for Netflix. And there was a lot of infighting between the Netflix executives and the studio executives, and couldn't get the story right. And honestly, not trying to sound controversial or incendiary, but I had to fix a show for a year in an editing room with my producing partner, James Gibb. And I had the blessing of the studio, I had to raise millions and millions more. And I spent a year unpaid away from my kids building a show that actually became a massive hit. And the executive, who would just go unnamed, canceled the show unknowingly to everyone else. And then there was no turning back. I thought to myself, like, it took us 7 years to make Kiss the Ground, right? We had busted our asses to make that film. And I shot the initial footage unknowingly 14 years ago in Zimbabwe with Alan Savory. And I sat there looking at my kid, and I just thought, do I really want to spend time away from my family making TV shows when it takes one pissed off executive to shift the entire trajectory of that, even though it's a big hit? No, I don't. I don't want to be in a system anymore where infighting creates the loss of a job that I loved, but I put my heart and soul into when I know it was really what was good. I want to build more robust movements. And with Kiss the Ground, we knew we had that big sea change. I knew it. And so I decided to step away. Now, when you step away, that was 6 years ago, when you step away from the single thing that drives the GDP of your family, I mean, my
Yeah.
wife's very successful as well, and I had started a company, a green portable power solutions company, used all that Vampire Diaries money to finance this company. And it went south. And I made a lot of personal guarantees on that money, 8 figures, and it all came crashing down. It all came crashing down, and I had to build out of an 8-figure hole while stopping the one job I knew that it made me money, while building out this unbelievable system of regenerative agriculture around the nation. So, I was in the hospital 4 times, blood clots, pre-cardiac arrest, hypertension, like all this stuff, trying to make up the nut and pay for this 8-figure hole that I'd found myself in. And it was a very humbling and amazing moment because it was the hardest time of my life, but I realized what I needed to do. And what I need to do is help rebuild this nation through the soil and balance the climate globally. Now we know that we increase the soil organic matter increases by 1% globally, we will be at zero net carbon. How amazing is that to hear? That it's not all doom and gloom, that we can do this and we are doing it. And Common Ground, April 22nd on Amazon Prime. Common Ground is a love letter to our children. And it will change your life. You'll never not be able to, you can't unsee this, period. You can't unsee this film. And so we're not going to be those parents that look at our kids and say, I'm so sorry. Rebecca said this in an interview, and it just struck me. It made me cry. I don't want to be that parent that looks at my kids and says, I'm sorry. I'm going to be that parent that looks at my kids and says, hey, we did something and it worked and it's still working and your future is bright because of it. Every parent wants to say that to their kids. And we're going to give them the ability to do that. And that's why this is such a special moment in time for us all,
I hear everything you're saying. And as an attorney, I've seen greed on an ugly level.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the roadblocks in your face with the regulations and everything you try to do at all times.
Yeah.
How do you get past that when somebody says to you, sorry, legally you can't do this. Legally, you're not allowed to. We have the rights to this. We have the rights to that.
Well, what happens is you do it through communities. You build that sea change where, numbers wise, like you look at, I make whiskey, right? Go through a lot of grains. There's 200 million grain acres in this country. Regenerative agriculture saves about $400 an acre. Now, if you look at a farmer and say, hey, we're spending $80 billion, right? Multiply 200 million times 80. It's $80 billion that we send off to foreign countries that own these agrochemical companies. That's American farmers' money. Why are we doing that? Now, all of a sudden, they're like, wait, I don't have to go to a bank and grovel and borrow money every year. I don't have to be sick and living under your subsidized agricultural economy. I can thrive and prosper and be safe and healthy. And our answer to them is, yes, you can. So that's the way you get around all that, is you build it from the ground up, where millions of people realize that they have been duped and that they're tired of living on the drip of the agrochemical and pharmaceutical companies. And that's how we build it.
Well, very rarely do I get to talk to somebody who has dedicated his life to the betterment of all of us. And I just want to thank you again for that, Ian. And I look forward to seeing the documentary. And I appreciate you getting that word out.
April 22nd, Amazon Prime. We're really grateful to Jeff Bezos and his incredible team for bringing these films to the world. April 22nd, Global Watch Party. I'll see you there. And if you don't get to do it on April 22nd, wait till you see this film. It'll change your life. I appreciate you. Thank you for letting me share this message.